Hi, this is Dane Shoemaker. Welcome to the Shoemaker Lab. Today we're doing a little bit something different with the podcast. I'm actually going to be going into some charts that I have to show. We're going to get very tactical today. If you're a business owner, how are you using video in your actual customer journey, your sales and marketing efforts, right? At Shoemaker Films, we talk a lot about how we incorporate video into your business. We do video production, we do podcasting, we do social media. There's a lot of facets on how to incorporate video into your, into your customer journey, into your, sales and marketing efforts, right? So we're going to get very specific today on where and when to use video throughout that buying cycle. And it really applies, pretty broadly to the types of businesses. We'll use some different examples, but if you're a brick and mortar retailer, if you're an e-commerce store, if you're a coaching or consultant, there's a lot of different ways you can use video, right? Builds trust, builds rapport. It really is an effective communication tool, no matter what your business is. So, if you have ever done anything around marketing, you might understand kind of the nuances of what's a marketing funnel, right? So we're actually just going to jump right into the charts here right now. What is a funnel, right? So again, if you've been working in business, you probably understand from a high level what is a funnel, right? So you have at the top end of the funnel, right, is your universe of actually suspects, we'll call them, right? So anyone that's maybe a potential buyer of your product or service, right? They don't know about your brand yet, right? They don't know about your store. They don't know about your business yet. Once they actually join, once they become aware, or you've gained their attention, that's when they actually enter the funnel, right? We don't know yet if they're going to buy. We don't know yet if they're a qualified prospect, or interested in your service. We don't even know if they're interested. They're just becoming aware of what you offer, right? So, and then as they move down that funnel, right, they're getting different touch points from your business. They're learning more and more about your product or service. We're going through, qualification. They're understanding what things cost. Hey, do I really need this? What does my timeline look like? Do I need it today? Is it something that I'm looking at planning for the next year? No matter what you're selling, everyone pretty much goes down this funnel, right? If you're, if you ran out of dishwasher, detergent, and you're going on Amazon to buy some more, you found out today, hey, I don't have that product. I need to go and buy it. That sales cycle is very short, very, linear, right? Versus, a enterprise software package, maybe that takes 6 to 12 months to incorporate into a corporation, right? So the whole game of marketing and sales across any business is, how can I get more people or more of the right people at the top of the funnel? And how can I increase my conversion rate as they move down that funnel, right? So there's a very common framework, AIDA. If you do a Google search on that, you'll learn that it was coined by someone in the late 1800s. I don't know what it is offhand, but it's pretty common, AIDA. So attention, interest, desire, and action. I actually linked to a pretty good HubSpot blog post about that. It kind of dives into it. But again, the funnel, no matter how you segment it, right? You can have 3 segments, you can have 4 segments, 10, 15, like there's different frameworks, there's different people that cut it up. But at the end of the day, it's all about the universe of prospects moving down that funnel to eventually becoming a buyer, right? At Shoemaker Films, we have developed a what we're calling a video marketing funnel. This is a simplification of it. We're applying, basically some concepts that I've pulled from in my career, as well as some, pretty common concepts, right? So there's a funnel, but it's really an hourglass, right? Because if we look at the customer journey, they move down that funnel and they get to the end, they buy, But that's really just the beginning of the relationship, right? So we kind of have 4 buckets. Again, for simplification purposes, we're going to do awareness, progression, conversion, and then expansion. So we're going to dive into this today. And where does video and where do the different platforms kind of plug into this, and how can you leverage videos to facilitate the sales cycle and your marketing efforts, right? So we'll start with the top of the funnel, right? Awareness. So again, the individual maybe that's, just finding out about your business for the first time, right? We'll identify this as the persona. This is your target persona. That's a whole nother video for another day about identifying your ideal client profile or your target persona, right? But this persona is maybe just discovering your business for the first time. Maybe they don't really know if they need your services or your products yet, but they've become aware of who you are, what your business does, and what you offer. Maybe some questions they might ask themselves, what is this? What is your company, right? Why am I seeing this brand? Maybe it's an ad or something like that. Maybe they did a Google search and they're just becoming aware of, who you are, right? The goal at this point is really to get their attention, spark some curiosity, and get them to kind of take that next step, right? What's that next step? Keep exploring, what you do. Maybe go to your website, maybe start, consuming some of your content on social media. Maybe it's actually picking up the phone and making a phone call to book an appointment, or maybe it's, hey, I'm going to do a Google search. Where are you located? I'm going to go walk into your store and check you out, right? That's kind of that first step, right? Taking that universe of suspects that might need your service or product, and then actually taking that next step and becoming aware of what you do and what you offer. And then you really want to get them to that next step, right? So that's where we get to the types of videos, right? On how do we generate awareness about your brand. And before we dive into this too, this is a framework that kind of gives us a rough plan on different types of videos and how they can facilitate that sales and marketing cycle. There's some rules that we're laying out here, but rules are always meant to be bent or they're meant to be broken, right? There's going to be some overlap. Some of the same videos can, facilitate different areas of the customer journey. It really just depends on where your customer is on that journey, right? They might see an ad for your brand and they might go, buy right away, right? Just depending on where they're at. Or they might spend a couple weeks, couple days, couple minutes, couple months, whatever that time frame is, to kind of marinate on your content, on some other videos, maybe some other stuff that's going on in their lives. Maybe there's some sales touch points that have to happen. So every persona is different. It really just depends on, what your product is, what your service is, and then those psychographics or demographics of that target persona that you're selling to, right? So in the awareness stage, we have mapped out here 4 different types of videos, right? So the first one is going to be an ad. And oftentimes this is the go-to for companies who want to, basically make aware of the greater, population of what their company does and what the benefits are and how to contact them, right? So I think most people understand what an ad is, right? In this day and age, a video, you're going to see a TV commercial, right? Or it's going to be an ad that pops up on Facebook or Instagram, a sponsored post, right? It's YouTube pre-roll, it's over the top or OTT. So think about Hulu, Disney Plus, or Netflix just is getting into it now with actual ads, coming on before your shows come on, right? Ads are everywhere, billboards, et cetera, right? But when we're speaking specifically about video ads, those are the examples: social, TV, over the top, streaming, YouTube, things like that. Right? That's going to be, obviously paid. You're going to have the creative. We can help you with the creative. We can also help you with the media buy. There's a lot of analytics around there, but oftentimes seeing an ad is going to be the first time that someone maybe becomes aware of what your brand or company does, right? The next thing is called a video sales letter, or a VSL. These have been around for a while. And, actually a VSL is you're going to see that pop up throughout this presentation. But, for the most part, you can treat it in a couple different ways, right? It can be someone going to a landing page, and seeing a little bit more in-depth video, 3-5 minute video that kind of talks about your service or product. That might be the first time that they're, learning about your business, right? There's also a VSL that's become pretty popular in, outbound sales, B2B sales, products like Vidyard and Pipedrive, I think is another one where, you're actually sending an email with a link to a short video. Maybe it's just done on your webcam. If I'm a sales rep, I might say, hey, I'm Bob with company ABC. I saw blah, blah, blah. You did this. You might be a good fit. If you want to talk, give me a call, right? It's basically like a cold email done through video, right? So you can call that a video sales letter as well. But that's another example of a way to kind of personalize your outbound sales. Another popular video type is YouTube, right? Let's talk about YouTube really in and of itself, because it's kind of its own animal, right? YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, second to Google. YouTube's owned by Google. And a lot of people are searching for things. Hey, they're going to go to YouTube to figure out, hey, what's a good, recipe for, chicken or something like that, right? They're asking specific questions. And that's where that, ASQ is often talked about, ask specific questions or answer specific questions, right? So your videos want to be answering questions. That's how you optimize SEO. And typically, on YouTube, if we're talking about top of funnel content, it's going to be shorter, more consumable videos, because I'm searching for something very specific. Maybe I'm trying to learn about, the latest sneakers, and I want to see a quick video about, maybe a review about that shoe or whatever it might be. But oftentimes YouTube might be the first impression that a client or prospect has of your company or your product, right? Because they're searching for things. And it's a great platform to optimize video content about your brand. I mean, YouTube is obviously a huge thing, and really its own topic for another day. Again, this video is going to be very high level, and we'll go really deeper on each of these different types of videos in future videos. So, and the last type of video is social media, right? I mean, probably social media should be at the top of this list in terms of awareness, but the way that short form video has, really exploded on social media over the last 5 years, right? Between TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels, now YouTube Shorts as well, utilizing trending audio, Reels that kind of blow up is on the explore page, right, on Instagram, or, those algorithms are kind of understanding, what you might be interested in. Social media and top of funnel type of videos, specifically Reels, TikToks, are really how people might find you if you're a brand or a company or a creator or an entrepreneur or a service or something like that. Putting out regular content on social media is really going to allow people to find you, right? And specifically short, snappy, trending type of videos that build trust, build brand. And we'll get into that kind of in the next phase, but really kind of leveraging those kind of trending things. And we'll get more into that in another video on, what specific types of reels will help kind of, get the algorithm to recommend your content, right? So now we're moving down to the progression stage. So this is really middle funnel. People have discovered you. They're aware of your company, what you offer. But here's kind of where that relationship really starts to build and that trust. This is really where the longer form type of content, we'll talk about that, really helps, where that brand building, that trust building, right? So this persona is now aware of you, right? Your target audience, your prospect, right, knows who you are. They have a pretty good understanding of what you offer. And they've acknowledged that, they have some type of need for your services. They may not know how painful that need is, right? They're still trying to qualify that, and we're trying to qualify that, right? So this is where sort of that middle funnel progression type content can help flush that out. So, either a prospect is either trying to solve a pain, right? Okay, if we'll go back to the running store analogy again, maybe, my shoes are falling apart, right? And I need a new pair of shoes. That's obviously, I've looked down at my feet and my shoes are falling apart. So I need a new pair of shoes. Okay. So I'm going to walk into the store. I've become aware of, hey, there's a new store down the street. I'm going to go check it out. And, now I'm looking at all the products and I'm learning a little bit more about the products. That's where that progression stage is at, right? There's either a pain or there's a gain. Maybe I have a pretty good pair of shoes, but there's a new pair of Jordans that just came out that are pretty awesome. And I believe that those shoes will elevate my persona or elevate my reputation, or improve something about my person, right? And so you want to buy a nicer pair of shoes than you already have, right? There's gain or pain typically as a product or service is what we're trying to solve. You're going to ask yourself, how can your solution fix my problem or improve my situation? They're starting to maybe envision themselves, using your service. At this point, the goal is to really get the person to go deeper on your content, right? If we're talking about social media, we want them to follow you on Instagram or Facebook, and we want you to start subscribing to your content, to your YouTube channel, something like that, right? So they're taking that next step and actually becoming a follower or a subscriber. The way, that could be a conversion event, right? But I find that, if we're talking about in this context, the marketing funnel for video, in our framework here, becoming aware of what you do and then becoming a follower, that's really like stage 2, because we're trying to get them to buy something at the end of the day. So this person's now going deeper on your content. They're learning a little bit more about your product or service. Maybe they're ready to engage in some type of sales touch point, right? Maybe that's a live conversation with a sales rep, or it's with you as a business owner. Or they're kind of taking that next step, like scheduling a meeting or an appointment or something like that, right? So here's the type of content, video content, that we can incorporate to facilitate this progression stage, right? So 5 types of videos here. So here's where we do a little bit more brand building. We're a little more trust building, right? So we have what's called a brand story for businesses. This is typically going to be a 2, 3, maybe 4-minute video that lives on your website, right? So this is like an about us page or who we are page, right? You go, someone clicks on, they found you on social media or they found you through an ad. They went to your website. Now they want to learn a little bit more about you. The brand story is going to basically answer the who, what, why, where and how, right, of an organization. What do we do? What are the products and services that we offer? What does the culture look like of our organization? What's our mission, right? Oftentimes brand story and mission story is interchangeable. And, it's an opportunity to really give some insight into the company's culture, the company's vibe, right? Like, a way to learn, a way for a person to learn a little bit more about your organization or what you do, right? We also have founder stories. So these are very similar to brand stories. However, oftentimes is a little bit more focused on the business owner, the entrepreneur. If you're a creative, it's really that story, that personal brand story, right? So rather than brand story, which is more corporate, more organizational, a founder story is a little bit more personal, right? So maybe it's, that story arc, what you did before. There was some type of compelling event that took our hero, onto the stage to create this business, right? It's a little bit more personal usually, and it works for some companies where it's if you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur and you want to kind of build that story. Founder story is really a great way to do that. So social media, again, here's where reels are really good for top of funnel. And then everything else on social media is going to be to help kind of progress that relationship, right? So you've become a follower, right? At that point, maybe, you're following this person on Instagram or whatever. Reels are really good for attracting new followers, but all the other stuff, stories, carousels, posts, things like that and we're very heavy on Instagram. We get a lot of our business from that. I think Instagram's a really great platform. Just kind of overall, there's a lot you can do on that, but from a progression standpoint, social media, stories, again, reels, but a little bit longer reels. Like I would say more, talking head style videos, where you're sharing a little bit more about your business. You're answering frequently asked questions, maybe some more behind the scenes style content. Here's a day in the life of, me as a business owner, right? That's good progression content to continue to build that trust and rapport with potential clients. Maybe examples of work, portfolio, samples, maybe even client success stories. I think testimonials are kind of its own thing. But sharing quick case studies, again, that's social proof. It helps to kind of progress that relationship. Just in general, demonstrating, knowledge and skill and authority in your industry or your domain, right? Social media is a great way to do that. Let's talk about webinars. So webinars are videos, right? They're live, typically virtual events, right? A great way to kind of deep dive on a specific topic. And again, these are all different examples. There's 15 overall throughout this presentation of different videos. There's overlapping, but pick and choose what works best for your audience and your business, right? And we can help you with that. But with webinars, it's an event, right? Hey, next Thursday at 11 a.m., we have a 1-hour webinar where we're doing a deep dive on topic XYZ, right? And you're promoting that event. You're sending out emails, you're posting on social, you're trying to get people to register for that event, right? It's a great lead magnet because you're getting emails. And it's an opportunity to get people, live on a webinar to, discuss a specific topic. Maybe there's Q&A at the end. Usually there's a call to action though, right? Hey, if you want, a one-on-one demo, something like that. I come from the software industry, so webinars were very big. And typically that call to action, hey, it's a live one-on-one demo or a trial or something like that, right? Webinars are great because you can kind of go deep on it. Usually there's, slide content, right? A visual. It's really a one-to-many. Typically it's not, there's not like live conversation going on. You can have Q&A, but it's typically a little bit more structured. The great thing is that you can record them and use that as a, lead magnet down the road. So you record the content and that webinar, you can turn that into a lead magnet where they go to a landing page and they can give you an email. They can download and watch that webinar. So, do the webinar live. That's a great way to generate interest, but that webinar then can live on for a long time and continue to generate leads. So we'll go back to YouTube and podcasting. So oftentimes, we will combine podcast and YouTube into the same kind of content because, this is a podcast, but this podcast is going on YouTube, right? So we're talking about video podcasts. In the awareness phase, we talked about YouTube, because we're answering specific questions, because YouTube is a search engine. People are looking for specific things. And if your video can answer those questions, that's going to help, bring about awareness of your business. Right. But when we're in the progression, the style of content is going to be a little bit longer, right? Again, in this middle phase is where people are kind of doing that deep dive research on your business, your services, your products, right? So a podcast is a great way to do that. Hopefully you're getting some value from this podcast. If you're interested about video, this podcast is where you're learning about a little bit more. Hey, how can I incorporate video into my business, right? That's exactly like this. So maybe you have a podcast where you're talking about, legal topics or accounting topics, or, if you're, again, the running store, maybe you have a podcast once a week where you talk about running, best practices, right? Or trends in the industry of sneaker industry, right? Things like that. So a podcast, whether it's just audio or a YouTube channel where you're doing deep dives on content about your industry, kind of is one and the same in my mind. It's really a regular syndicated, piece of content, maybe every week, maybe every other week, once a month, whatever that looks like for you. But it's typically people will subscribe or download or continue to follow you. And that's how you can build trust and progress those relationships, right? So we move now into the conversion phase. And so, at this point, people know who you are. They know what your business does, right? They've spent some time learning about what you do and what you offer, your story. They trust you. They've learned as much as they can, from your website and from your other content, your YouTube channel, your podcast, whatever, your social media. And now they might be ready to buy, right? They're at that point. So in the conversion stage, the persona is essentially is qualified. We've that's a whole other video for another day, but that traditional BANT criteria, if you're familiar with that: budget, authority, need, timeline. Those basic criteria have been met, and they're now convinced that your solution is going to fulfill that need, right? They either have a pain they need to solve, or they envision a gain from your product or service, and they ask themselves, hey, how can I do? They start thinking about implementation, right? And what does it look like once I buy this product? How's this going to look in my business? So they're starting to ask kind of those final questions before they buy, and the goal at this point is to convert them into a customer, right? So the goal is to get the persona to make a purchase. The types of videos that can, facilitate this here. So we go back to the video sales letter, and this is really going to be that, versus that, that entry point, like Vidyard, like kind of a quick kind of personalized video. This is going to be more of that traditional VSL, where they go into a landing page, and it's really going to be, let's call it a 2 or 3 minute commercial for your product, right? It's really going into, it's kind of pulling all the elements together. Hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is what our product does. This is how it benefits you. Here's some testimonials or some social proof. Click the link to buy now, right? It's kind of a hard sell type of video, right? And for the right service or product or the right buyer, if they're at that stage, they're ready to buy. That's all they need, is that just kind of that final, 2-minute sales pitch to kind of move them to the next level. I'm gonna throw in live video call in this just to cover our bases. We're talking about a live sales call, right? So versus a VSL, which can live on its own without a human, right? A live sales call is where you're going to kind of close that deal, right? So this could be, like it says here, on Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, right? This is a live virtual call. Obviously it's video, right? There's a webcam, you're talking to the person live. So we're going to count that as a video. This could also be, there's a big trend with live selling, on social media, right? So you go on your live streaming, Facebook, all the platforms have it now, right? Where you're actually live selling products. I mean, this goes back to things like QVC, right? And Home Shopping Network, where people were doing 30-minute infomercials, an hour live actual selling on TV. People would call in and place orders. This is happening online now on social media, where you can go live and you're doing the product and there's a link to basically buy right there. So this is a really effective way, especially for, kind of low ticket physical products, so they can kind of see it and touch it, right? Or at least see a live person feeling it and touching it on video. They can't physically do it, but it's a great way to do that. We also have explainer videos. So oftentimes explainer videos are going to be, typically they're animated a lot of times, but I suppose they don't always have to be animated. But basically these are, simple tutorials, that kind of go into how things work, right? And animations help that a lot better, because me talking about a product can only go so far, or really a service, more abstract processes. I think this is really beneficial for, on how something might work, right? How a service or, system that you might implement from a coach or a consultant or something like that. Explainers do a really good job at kind of visualizing that. And that's why the animations are really good for that person, for that solution, right? So it could be a live person, but oftentimes it is an animation. And then we'll do testimonials, because oftentimes a testimonial or a case study, or, just any kind of social proof that shows, hey, you've sold me on everything. Your company looks great. The product and service looks great. Now let me see some reviews, some reviews on the product, real people using your service, especially when it's been, a couple months, maybe even a couple years after they purchase it, and they still are like, this is a great product. It's a no-brainer, right? I mean, these are really powerful videos that can live, separately on your website. Hey, you have your Google reviews, but then a video of someone talking about your product or service is really powerful. You can also incorporate testimonials into a brand story or a mission story or ads or, social media content. Again, there's so much overlap with all this stuff, but this is kind of like how we can break it out easily. So from a conversion standpoint, this is it. This person's ready to buy, right? They're bought in. They've consumed all your content. They saw an ad. They're now a follower on your social media. All of their answers are all of their questions have been answered, and they're ready to buy, right? This is kind of the end of the road for most companies. However, really it's not, because this is where the relationship really begins. Once you convert that person into a customer, the goal really is to continue that relationship, right? Our best clients at Shoemaker Films are people that we work with on a regular basis, right? If you're let's say a SaaS company or a software, or you have any type of subscription, the goal is to continue to, not only retain that customer, but grow that customer as well, right? And that's where we've in 2024, that subscription model is so prevalent across everything, almost to an annoying amount, right? You just want to buy something. You don't want to subscribe to a $5 a month thing to get it. But for a lot of businesses, a lot of solutions and products and services, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of a win-win for everybody. So, this funnel really is more of an hourglass, right? So once that person buys, the goal now is to, not only expand, but make sure they're adopting, right? The persona has been, converted, right? They've already been converted to a paid client or customer. And now they're using the service. We want to keep them engaged as a business owner. We want that repeat business, right? And we want to continue to add value. So this person, might ask, what else can I use X for, right? Or how else can I use it to improve my business? Or what else do you have? You've already solved my pain. You did a great job. Love your company, love your product, love your service. What else you got, right? The goal at this stage is really to, onboard that customer successfully. If you're, if it's a system or a software solution that you're implementing, or you're an agency that's implementing some type of marketing system or something like that, you want to get them onboarded and adopting that successfully. That's kind of key to number one, before you start kind of growing that relationship, right? You also want to keep them using your service, right? So if you're using if it's a web software, a SaaS product, it's a monthly subscription. How do I keep them, engaged, right? Like, or if it's a wine subscription or whatever it is, you just want to keep them engaged, keep adding value, right? And video can help with that. So some of the different types of videos here are, let's call it an onboarding video, right? So, if it's more of a high touch business that you offer, and people subscribe, you are, want to have maybe one video, maybe it's a series of videos that kind of help with that onboarding process, right? That kind of parlays into the tutorials, right? So you want to teach people how to use your product or service, or make sure they're getting the most out of it. And you could do that pretty effectively with video, right? By tutorials, right? How-tos, right? Kind of go back to those explainers, but I would say these are a little bit more deep than explainers. It's less selling and more, how do you use the product? How do I implement the service, right? You also, troubleshooting videos as well. So tutorials and troubleshooting kind of goes hand in hand. So answering, common questions, if it's, especially if it's a software tool or something like that, a video that talks about how to, solve simple issues that you might have, obviously makes a lot of sense, because that's going to reduce costs. You don't have people calling or emailing or trying to get, tech support on the line or whatever. You have some self-help videos to kind of help clients resolve those issues on their own. We'll also put, certifications here or online courses, because, let's say you have a high ticket offer, maybe it's a consulting business, or, some type of, really any skilled service that you offer. You can offer a course or a certification, and you could, these are almost an extension of the tutorials or the how-tos, but typically they're a lot more in depth. They're typically paid, right? So they might buy your product, but now I want to go deeper. I want to kind of have some bragging rights that I'm like an expert in your product or service or your brand, and you have some type of online course. This is all video, right? This is going to be a series of videos that you can create. You can charge whatever you want for them, right? And just another way to incorporate video into your business. The courses could be the business itself, right? And that's becoming very common today, where you have creators or entrepreneurs or influencers, if you will, that are online, and they're building, they're sharing value through social media, and then they have a paid course. Like, that is what they're trying to convert you to in the first place. So that might be the product itself is the course. However, there are, there's other companies out there that, let's just say, again, going back to enterprise software, you have, big communities around different, software, SAP and things like that, where they might have paid, certifications and things like that around that. So we're going to throw in ads here as well. So after somebody buys, they're a client of yours or a customer using your product or service, the types of ads that are attracting new clients are not going to resonate with them. So you need a separate ad type to maybe introduce them to other products or services that you offer. So if you have multiple things that you sell, you can run ads for different things to get them to buy other stuff. And that might be videos on social media, it might be videos on TV or whatever, right? Or maybe it's custom videos that you email people who in your CRM, they're already a customer. So I'm going to send an email with a video about another service that we offer, right? And then I'm going to throw events in here, right? So obviously an event is not a video, but as people are using your service or your product or buying your products, they're becoming fans, right? You're building a community around your organization. Live events are a great way to do that. Live in-person events, but use video to capture that event, right? It's a great marketing tool to really extend that entire experience, right? So let's say you're, again, a running store or a shoe store or a retailer. You want people to come in. Maybe you have the manufacturer come in to show off some product, or you're a jewelry business, something like that, where you have people to come in and check out stuff, a ladies' night, have some drinks or whatever. Use video to capture that event, right? Once you have the video to kind of extend that experience, people had a great night, then they open up their social media and there's kind of a recap of that. That's really powerful. You can also use that footage or those videos to promote the next event that you do. So really using video as a way to document things, right? So that's why that's in there. So that's really it. So obviously there is a lot of different uses for video in your buyer's journey, right? This is just a breakdown of about 15 or so different types of videos and how they fit into, that marketing funnel. There's a lot of overlap. Again, there's rules that we kind of laid out, not necessarily rules, but kind of a loose framework. There's so much overlap, right? And every person's different, depending on what the product or service is or where they're at on that buying journey, how much research they've done on their own. So that's really it. And Shoemaker Films, we can help you with that, right? If you're a business owner, you're a marketing team member, and you want to start incorporating some of these different video elements into your business, reach out to us and we'd be happy to help. So thanks for watching today. If you found this valuable, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're just listening to the audio podcast, please subscribe for future. Make sure to leave a comment in the description below as well. If you found some value in this, or if there's other topics, especially if you want to go deep on any specific videos that we talked about today. So thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks for listening today. Shoemaker Lab is an original production by Shoemaker Films, LLC. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your content. Follow us on Instagram at shoemaker.films. And if you're a business that's either interested in our video production services or would like to be a guest on the show, get in touch by using the contact form on our website, shoemakerfilms.com.